Welcome back to the Tycoon. Lots of news this week with USMCA, coronavirus, elections, and corporate earnings. I am a long-term investor, and the headlines are meaningful. But I want to stay on track with some of the themes I discussed last week. Today, let's discuss how we can start to invest for Generation Z as they start to enter the workforce, move out, and shape the global economy. Currently, Generation Z, or people under 22, are working on their education and entering the workforce. That's me! They already have access to over $140 billion in spending power in the US alone. Gen Z is impacted by influencers through social media, and they have had the internet their entire lives, as well as access to smartphones and now wearable tech. Anything they want can be delivered to their door with a click of a button. They don't necessarily drink, as they have access to legal marijuana. They often buy used clothing and seek out cleaner food ingredients, hurting canned goods and large packaged food companies. Okay, so let's look at how we can invest in my generation. Last video, I pointed out Generation Z has brought the environment to the forefront of media. This is a space they'll personally invest in. We can see how Gen Z is already impacting investing, with private equity giant Blackstone announcing more dedicated resources to ESG investing. Fossil fuel companies traded at attractive valuations could be avoided not just by young investors, but also by young money managers. A lot of ESG names have done very well over the last year. Hannon Armstrong has gained 53%, and Brookfield Renewable has gained 67% over the last 52 weeks. Let's think about how ESG names could perform with Gen Z controlling more of the decisions in the world. I am already invested in this sector for a long-term view. Generation Z is always connected to the internet, and wearable devices could make our smartphones obsolete over the next 10 years. We are going to connect billions of devices to the internet. This will push the demand for investment in tech infrastructure, including data centers and 5G. I've mentioned Crown Castle and Equinix as my current holdings. There will be a huge demand for cybersecurity as these billions of devices are awake 24 hours a day, assisting us with our daily routines. Finally, at some point, we are going to start analyzing all this data. Investors are barely scratching the surface of all the data we collect, and eventually, this will be not only collected but analyzed to understand customer behavior. There are smaller names including Cloudera and Tableau software beyond the big data names like IBM and Google. Other names like Big Panda and Databricks are still crowdfunding, pre-IPO or remain private. Another area to look at for investing in Generation Z includes esports. This has largely been around for a decade, and tournaments of online gaming now have fans, sponsors, and attractive prize money. Activision Blizzard, as one example, owns most of their video game characters and could go from 300 million monthly users to 1 billion users over the decade with advancement in gaming technology and population growth. Other names in the sector, including EA Games and Take-Two, we're seeing growth in microtransactions and even mobile gaming. Technology is accelerating, and Generation Z will fully take advantage of this. Older industries, like the automotive sector, will have to adapt to a generation that may not want a driver's license. It's still early to start investing for Generation Z, my generation. We're going to be in the workforce. We're going to buy homes, vote, and change the way we think about our consumption. Let's keep looking for investments that will benefit from my Gen Z. My portfolio will include cybersecurity, ESG investments, esports, data analytics, and technology infrastructure, besides some of my traditional holdings. Please contact me if you have any questions or any topics you would like covered. Have a prosperous day. I just want to take a few seconds to talk about my first mentor, Kobe. I read his Mamba Mentality book, and also I read another book he suggested, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. I'm really going to miss him, and even though I may be young, I did watch his last game, and he is a really good basketball player. So let's remember him for not just that, but everything else he did too. And I think everyone should use a little bit of Mamba mentality in everything they do.